I would just like to point out that all of the characters and writings are property of the prospective owners and the people who created them. I own none of the content that is currently being created. Please support the official release of all such products. Thank you for listening. That time I got reincarnated as a slime. Volume 1, Chapter 13. To the Dwarf Kingdom! Rigurdo announced at the street to prepare until midday. Even the decision of going to the Dwarf Kingdom was foolishly said. His own son, Rieger, was first on the 5 sets. Next is me and Ranga. I was a little worried, but the person itself seemed to agree. Rigurdo also feels rejuvenated too, so maybe it's just me worrying too much. Now then, after receiving the package, I get on the back of Ranga. Boing! Sounded after I got inside Ranga's fur. The surrounding fur made my body fixed in place. It's time for the sticky web. In this setting, having no hands nor feet really is inconvenient, but I'll just have to do with this ability. I secretly practice controlling the web you see, and I use it to kill an enemy. This isn't one of the Romans, right? I don't know whether I can learn it, but the prior is much longer. I steadily go through practice. Inside the package was some money and food. The food will last us 3 days. Further than that, we plan to be self-sufficient. It was better to bring food with longer life, but it was to avoid the feeling of being bulky, even though I can predate more than enough. But spoiling them is bad, right? It's because I don't need food that I've made the decision, though. Our funds are 7 silver coins and 24 copper coins. First of all, to be clear, the misunderstanding. It's not that big of an amount, so I stopped hoping. Next is, I'll think about what to do after I arrive. Now then, it's time to go. The Dwarf Kingdom's walking distance will take 2 days, it seems. Inside the forest flows the large river of Amurdo. After reaching, this will be the mountain ranges. On those mountain ranges is our goal, the Dwarf Kingdom. On the east is the Empire and the circumference of the Jura Forest, our multiple countries. It was estranged recently, but it was a large quantity of mountain range. Therefore, the trade route splits to 3 ways. First is the route that passes through the large forest of Jura. The second is the route that goes through the Stern Mountain Path. The last is a sea route. Originally, the route that passed through the forest of Jura is the shortest and safest. However, it was rarely used. Mainly, most just use the second one. As for the sea route, more than costly, there is a threat of sea monsters, and therefore it was the least used route it seems. This time, we don't have any business with the Empire. If we head to the east of the forest, it'll be the Empire, but we're heading north towards the large quantity of the mountain. There was no need to climb till the summit, too. The Dwarf Kingdom is upstream of the large river of Amurdo, at the foot of the quantity of the mountain ranges. The Dominion is what we're preparing for. The mountain ranges naturally remodeled a large cave metropolitan was truly beautiful. That is the Dwarf Kingdom. We're going to the north, parallel to the river of Murdo as planned. We're moving with the river, so there'll be no problem of getting lost, but just in case, I displayed a map in mind. The one leading was a messenger that had once gone to the Dwarf Kingdom, so I'll leave it to him. In front of me is the running guidance. However, the Black Wolf, the evolved version of the Fanged Wolves, are fast, and they're also not showing any fatigue. We've started traveling for about 3 hours, and we haven't had to break for once, in spite of nearly running the speed of 80 kilometers non-stop, or 50 miles an hour. It's extraordinarily comfortable. With this pace, even a day wouldn't be needed it seems. Well, we can also go without excessively. It's to hasten the preparation for the clothes and houses, but rushing things won't do good. Oi! You don't need to push yourselves, I said. For some reason the speed increased to some extent. Within the 3 hours we attained a speed faster than a bike. I enjoyed the flowing scenery, but I got bored momentarily. It's difficult to converse with this speed, but I have thought transmission. As I engaged in a fun talk with everyone, I slowly understand the fun of this journey. While thinking that, I linked up with everyone's thought network. Now then, what will I hear? Rieger, come to think of it, who did your niece side got his name? Ha! Please don't mind the formalities with me. So, it's about who my brother got his name. It seems he got his name from a passing magic being. Oh, a magical being passed by the goblin village? Yes, it was 10 years ago when I was still a child. It stayed in the village for a while and had taken a highlight to my brother. He was a good brother, right? Yes, he was a proud brother. Eventually he wants to become a subordinate of that magical being. Garmundo, he kindly says. I see. The next time he comes, the changes will definitely surprise him, right? Isn't it? However, my body serves for Rimuru, rather than the splendid Maru's army. I cannot follow Garmundo. Mao's army? You've met them, right? Wait, you don't even know if they'll invite you. Are you confident? Yes, rather than confident, it's conviction. Even my brother, as named, has evolved, but he hasn't changed this much. Obviously, the status of our evolution is different. I think he hasn't heard the Sekai no Kotoba in his whole life. Even the surrounding hobgobs agree and constantly nod. Is that it? If they get a name, they'll evolve. However, they also change at a certain limit on their godparent, huh? Next time, if there's a chance to compare, I'll experiment. However, the Mao's army. As I expected, there was something like that in this world. Will the Demon Lord attack? Or rather, whose ally should I be? Well, I'll just think about it whenever he attacks. Luckily, there's an existence called the Yusha, and it's common sense that the Yusha will fight the Mao. After 300 years, the question is whether the hero is still alive. Surely she has been reincarnated and is vigorously practicing, right? More or less, taking memo of that corner of her memory. Now then, the next subject is, Ranga, I was your late father's enemy, right? Should I worry of such things? I asked the Black Wolf. Honestly, I think about it sometimes. However, it was the outcome of the battle. It is inevitable for us monsters. Even if which we are fighting, we understand that it's justice to whoever wins. If you lose, none will be left. Be that as it may, my lord. You forgave us and also gave us a title. Other than gratitude, I don't bear any malice. If ever that you'll get revenge, I'll be prepared any time. Now that I've evolved, I fully understand it. On the previous battle, if ever that you got serious, we would be dead by now. If that happened, the wish of our race, which is to evolve, will certainly fall. Our loyalty, my lord, is only for one person. What the heck is he saying? Certainly if I mimic the Black Snake, I can annihilate everyone, but I don't want a dangerous gamble. He's overestimating. Well, I don't have a problem with the misunderstood part. Do you understand? You've also grown. Ah! I'm greatly thankful. I matched his talk, and carefreely agreed. Well, it's about his father that was killed. Having no malice is a lie, right? If Ranga some day has revenge upon me, I'll pleasantly receive it. Until then, I certainly need to get stronger. At any rate, however you see it, until now, a common black snake feels like it'll get strong. We talked in that fashion while traveling. En route, there was no event of a monster springing forth. Therefore, we proceeded in our journey smoothly. After 3 hours, we took a break. After 14 hours of travel, we slept and took a break for about 7 hours. Aren't we rushing things a little, is what I said? But it's fine, because of our evolution, that this much fatigue was nothing, answered Rieger. Do not worry about us. We want to be like our Lord, who doesn't need sleep. We don't need a long time for that. Even food. It's not that we need frequent eating. Even without it, it's not an obstacle, followed by Ranga. I checked the others, and they're all filled with determination. With this, the number one, not doing anything, me. I might be seen as the one who lacks determination. Well, everyone seems determined, so let's proceed with this pace. We ran for about 12 hours every day, but these guys really got tough. At the end of the second day, before resting and eating. By the way, Gobta, do you know how far more? I asked the guide, Hobgoblin Gobta. Yes, probably we'll arrive by tomorrow, I think, because we can greatly see the mountain, he immediately answered me, halfly nervous and happy, right? Did he not stutter? He answered in a panicked way just to answer. I see, now that he said it, the mountain seems to be larger. It wasn't that big yesterday. We really are moving at an extreme speed. Come to think of it. And by the way, I suddenly cared, so how long did it take to reach the Dwarf Kingdom? Once in a while a peddler comes, right? I asked. I once heard from Rogerdo about the Goblin Kingdom. It seems like it was a kobold peddler. Especially it was weird that it takes 2 months heading to the Dwarf Kingdom. Yes, they sell their magic weapons and armor for a high price. That said, we pay them with our tools, but the peddler takes it, accepts, so it saves us the trouble. Furthermore, the monsters surrounding the village don't use armor. I see. Occasionally they put armors of the adventurers on sale, huh? No wonder there's no decent armor left, I thought. The Kobold clan doesn't know good quality things, especially doing things, huh? Honestly, a person easily defeated by a goblin, it's like sending a beginner in a forest and then getting lost. Looks like a young chick, right? I didn't think they would bring something amazing, but even so, lending armor is... Maybe the dwarf clan is surprisingly kind. If this goes well, maybe this will pile to a friendly relationship. Or rather, I'd like it to go well. Please become a favorable relationship. Then, after all that traveling, a complete 3 days passed. The quanta of the mountain range's foot enlarges a meadow. The mountain range's naturally remodeled cavern was truly beautiful. Mother Nature's creation, a natural stronghold. Dwargon in armed state. I'll arrive at the Dwarf Kingdom. That time I got reincarnated as a slime. Volume 1, Chapter 14. The Military Nation Dwargon. It was the kingdom of dwarves. 1,000 years had passed since the first generation dwarf hero King Gurren Dwargon had built this country. To this day, the country had been protecting as well as developing its history, culture, and technologies. The current king, Gazel Dwargo, was part of the third generation dwarves, but possessed a similar aura to that of his grandfather in his younger days. He was renowned as a great hero and celebrated as a wise king for his impartial rule. The land was governed by one such dwarf. As a free trade town, it was the center of trade between all kinds of races. Therefore, the town kept a policy of absolute neutrality. Within this town, the wise king would not tolerate violence. Even the empire in the east avoided open aggression with the military nation Dwargon. Needless to say, this was a favorite topic of conversation among adventurers. The dwarves were known to be such ferocious opponents that there was even a saying, "Go against the dwarf once, there won't be a second time." Their reputation as a military nation was not just for show. In battle, a wall of heavy infantry would defend the army magic corps. The opposing enemy would be totally annihilated by the powerful magic attacks before even managing to break through the infantry wall. During these past 1,000 years, the might of the dwarven army that boasted of invincibility had always been remained famous, and the factor which supported their claims? It was none other than the equipment that produced using their technological strength. The weapons and armor they crafted using their cutting-edge techniques far surpassed the quality of ordinary goods. Therefore, rather than quarrel with the dwarf race, people chose to create friendly ties. For this reason, even if one were to encounter demons in dwarf territory, there was hardly anyone who would foolishly cause conflict. Their capital was a place where humans and demons mingled. It was truly one of the strangest lands in the world. Not to mention, while the capital positively overflowed with tools of war, it was still a country that was able to enjoy peace. The fact that arms dealer's stronghold was the farthest from causing strife might have been, in a way, ironic. In front of the entrance there was a large line of people entering. There, a large gate was built that was big enough to completely block the naturally formed great cave. The only times the gate was opened was on the occasion when the army needed to come and go, only once a month at that. Fortunately, it was closed today. Below the large gate, a small door was installed for the express purpose of letting people in and out. A line of people was formed on the left side of the passage. It appeared that the right-hand side was a pathway for folks of the nobles and important figures. That's what I assumed as I observed my surroundings while lining up on the left side. While waiting, I saw that there was a varied treatment of the people, such as those who received a free pass, while others had to be taken into a separate room to be checked. Befitting of a military nation, the guards took a firmly defensive stance. Although it seemed that you were comparatively free to act when you get inside, still the line was incredibly long. It might be that we would spend more time here waiting than we did traveling, but at the moment I was thinking that, oi oi oi, there's a demon in a place like this. We're still not inside, so it's fine to kill him here. Hey, what are you doing lining up there? You guys are damn cheeky. If you don't want to die, give me that spot. And also, leave everything you have behind, and then I'll let you go this time. Those were really quite the dubious statements. Actually, I think that voice full of ill intent was aimed towards us. Over here, there was no one but me and Gobta. In any case, taking a long group wearing only loincloths does make you stand out in a bad way. Rigger also had wanted to come, but I refused. The other group was camping at the entrance of the forest, waiting for our return, and that was why it was just us two. But I wondered if we looked like an easy target. It seemed that a pair of adventurers that didn't want to get in line had their eye on us. Gobta, do you hear something? Yes, I hear it too. Did you get caught up in something like this last time you came? Of course. I was beaten black and blue, then got picked up by a group of kobold merchants. If they hadn't found me, I think I might have died back then. So you did get involved. Well then, nothing can be done about it. It's something the fate of weak demons. It looked like we were in trouble. Moreover, this is considered a normal occurrence here. I wish I'd known sooner. As if he had realized my thoughts, Gobta was hanging his head. I'd finally gotten him to talk normally with me. But would this one-time mistake return him to his previous nervousness? I was a little worried. Oh, even though you're nothing but a small fry, don't be ignoring me now. Rather than that, isn't a talking slime rare? Don't you think it'll be popular in an exhibit? Two continued making their annoying conversation. I vaguely felt I've been told at one time that I had a Buddha-like deep compassion, but this was making me angry. Gobta, do you remember the last rules I said? Yes, of course. I see. Well then, for a while I want you to close your eyes, plug your ears. You must never look this way. I don't really understand, but roger that. Now, let's see. I was the one who made the rules, yet I would be breaking them first. If my group came to know this, it would be bad for an educational standpoint. Since I had made sure that Gobto, who was in the way, closed his eyes, let's begin clearing the trash. At that moment, the man on the right shifted his line of sight. Further checking my surroundings, I saw a group of three grinning amongst themselves as they observed the situation from afar. The two in front of me was a swordsman and another man wearing a lightweight equipment. Most likely he was in the profession of thieving. In the group of 3, there were 2 that were wearing magician or priest-like robes, and a large warrior. I made a prediction. All of them were in the same party, and these 2 in front were meant to chase us out, according to their plan. Afterwards, the 3 would follow and kill us as we run away, and then innocently regroup with the first 2. I dare say this was the scenario that they laid out. In this way, they must have killed the weaker demons and stole their belongings. It was well thought up. However, this time they picked the wrong opponent. Boy, you should patiently wait your turn. I'm a very tolerant fellow, so it's not too late for forgiveness. Hurry up and line up from the back, I began provoking them. In that instant, the 2 in the front of me were bewildered, and their faces quickly turned red. These guys had short tempers. Putting up front when you're nothing but a shitty small fry demon? Don't get cocky. Well, you're as good as dead now. I've considered sparing your life if only you gave up your belongings. They were reciting the kind of lines suited to petty underlings. Back when I was a general contractor, if you couldn't manage to make a scary, grim face, uncles danced to your tune. You just weren't fit for work. Among those uncles, there were even some that had playfully scribbled things, tattoos, on their body. The feeble threats of a greenhorn was nothing than passing wind. A shitty small fry demon? Were you talking about me? Of course it's about you. The likes of you slime is a small fry among small fry. Hurry up and get over here. It looks like you can talk well, so I'll turn you into a demon slave without killing you. A demon slave? There was something like that? Leaving that aside for the moment, the nearby merchants and adventurers were starting to notice the disturbance we were causing. I had to gather more attention. Although I don't know if such a thing as legitimate self-defense would work here, it would be great if even a few people could testify for me. However, there were no kind humans who would yell, "I'll save you," and come dashing out. If I was a beautiful girl, there might have been someone like that, but I guess it's unreasonable to expect for a slime. Calling me a small fry over and over, you sure talk arrogantly. Moreover, me? A slime? No matter how I see it, you're definitely a slime. Damn you, messing with me. I can't forgive being made a fool of by a weakling like you. I'll kill you after all. After saying that, the 2 readied their weapons. At last, they were about to come at me. Oh boy, the first human I got to talk to was like this. Such bad luck. To think that demons were friendlier. The people nearby had begun moving away to watch and circle around us from afar. Perhaps the guard had also noticed the uproar, which might have been why they distanced themselves in such a hurry. Now then, I leisurely moved forwards and said, Q. You say I'm a weakling? A slime? Since when did I become a slime? Or are you just confused? I deliberately spoke as if to imply something else. It was true that however you looked at it, I really am a slime. That was obvious from the very moment I was seen as a slime. But this was an act, probably. What did you say? You don't get carried away with bluffing. If you're not a slime, then show your real form already. After you're dead, you won't get to make excuses. It seemed they would wait for me to transform, just as planned. Even as a slime, I believe I could win against them. However, holding back would be hard, so I might end up accidentally slicing them right in half. It was difficult to adjust my strength to the degree of only knocking them out. Alright then, I'll let you see this true form of mine. This isn't even my final form joke. As I shouted, I loosed a sinister aura to hint at my power. Of course, only a little bit of it. I checked around me to see if anyone had sensed that small amount of aura. Among the people watching us from far away, only a few had noticed. The 2 idiots before me and their companions showed no sign of being aware of it. These guys seemed to be all bark and no bite. I was done with observing the situation now. Now then, what should I turn into? From my body erupted a thick fog. It was completely shrouded my form, and after a while it cleared away to reveal a different form. A black wolf. Oh, I remember the last time I used predation and transformed afterwards. I had taken the form of a fanged wolf. Right. Now I had black fur that was identical to that of the evolved Ranga and his pack. But not only that, my physique exceeded Ranga's, and there was now a pair of horns on my forehead. Mimesis. Tempest Star Wolf. Seems that if the lineage of the demon I've used predation on evolved, it would also affect my mimicry. Most likely related to Rimuru naming them, which makes them family and connected in a way. This must have been a further evolved form of Ranga. I could feel an overwhelming power. I was sure that the idiot pair would run away upon seeing this appearance, but contrary to my expectations, even if you look tougher on the outside, it doesn't change that you're a slime. Oi, you think we'd get cold feet and run away just from that? They don't realize anything. Oi, you should be able to know the level of a danger just by looking. In the first place, if a slime transforms, even if it couldn't tell if it was an illusion or something, taking caution is a given. And yet these guys weren't concerned in the least. Perhaps they were reassured by the presence of their 3 friends in hiding. The number of skills I could use had also increased. Super, olification, thought transmission, intimidation, shadow movement, black lightning. Shadow movement was a skill that Ranga and company was in the middle of practicing. Their goal was to be able to use their skill to merge into the shadow of their partner and instantly appear when called. At present, they were only practicing entering shadows, so there was still a long way to go. And the other, black lightning, I could imagine its power without needing to test it. If I tried it out, the pitiful men in front of me would be burnt to a black crisp. But, since my predictions were rather poor, their condition may turn out even worse. That being the case, there was no skills to use. If only intimidation would work on these morons. In a way, aren't idiots invincible? Anyhow, the end result was that I only managed to terrify a few of the spectators out of their wits instead. Oh boy, I don't care anymore. This is just too tiring. Come at me! I let them have the first strike. If I received damage while mimicking, what would happen? On one occasion I had experimented on that question while in lizard form. I found out while continuously receiving attacks that when a certain amount of damage accumulated, the mimicry would wear off. Afterwards, there was no damage that had transferred to my slime body. Most likely it was because the skill, Mimesis, utilized magic essence to create a new body, which was why the main body couldn't be damaged. There were two restrictions on this skill. After Mimesis wore off, I would be unable to transform for the next 3 minutes, and the other was that mimicking a demon required a certain amount of magic essence. The amount of magic essence required was relatively insignificant, hence it was not an issue, and there was no duration limit to the skill. To sum up, there wouldn't be a problem in letting them attack me as much as they wanted. In the case that the opponents were strong, I could return to my slime form and escape immediately. And the fight began with them attacking first. Die! Urgh! Wind slash! And the thief threw multiple daggers towards me. And was that swordsman using a skill attack? His sword was glowing green as he swung the blade at me. Simultaneously throwing 3 daggers was quite impressive, but there wasn't enough force behind them to pierce my bristles. And as for the swordsman, sadly his precious sword had broken with a snap. Just now, did you do something? Assuming the role of a villain with an air of experience, I enthusiastically asked them in a belittling way. But frankly, the power of their attacks was so weak that my question was rather reasonable. Was that skill nothing but a show? No way! Such hard bristles! Real hard, baby. Impossible! This kind of thing, it's impossible! My sword was made with silver! It had an amplifying power against demons! Well, of course, isn't silver fragile? What was he even saying? This guy. Oi, guys! Help me out as well! As if no longer caring for his appearance, he called for his companions. As I expected, the 3 that were in hiding was a part of the group. It's the end for you now. My, really, I didn't expect we would get a turn. A slime's transformation magic? Interesting, I'll be sure to dissect it after killing it. For a while now, it hasn't been moving at all. Moving will probably break the spell. How's that? Did I hit bullseye? They were making so much noise while saying whatever they liked. The 5 of them then spread out in a circle around me and began attacking at the same time. The thief slashed at me with a short sword. This time, the swordsman casted a magic attack. Windsickle. He was surprisingly talented. The heavy warrior bellowed heavy slash, and he swung his great axe. The magician also used a magic attack fireball. The priest was creating a magic shield in preparation for my attack. As a party, it was well-balanced formation, though unfortunately for them, none of their attacks had affected me. I peeked a fleeting glance towards them. Apparently they were too shocked to make a sound. If it was now, intimidation might have an effect. I used intimidation on top of my howling, but this turned out to be a massive failure. Even the spectators were fainting over here, and wetting their pants over there. To put it simply, the situation was a great disaster. Crap, what should I do? This definitely wouldn't end well at all. Eh? What about the group of 5? They had taken the full brunt of intimidation at point-blank range. Well, of course, there wasn't really a need to say it out loud. And suddenly I detected a large number of dwarven guardsmen that were running this way with magic perception. As for my current state of mind, I gazed at the scene of people soiling their pants with various substances, and I unconcernedly thought to myself while escaping from reality, cleaning up after that mess would really suck, huh?